Over the last several months, my channel has seen a huge uptick in customers finding my videos, and when they do, they're typically not shy about sharing their opinions. As a result of this, it's become crystal clear to me that there is a huge divide between drivers and customers. My goal for this video is to help narrow that gap. Throughout the course of this video, I'll be jumping back and forth between addressing drivers and customers. Drivers. Do you remember when we were all at DoorDash headquarters sitting in that conference room and collectively decided that we were going to work for $2 an order plus tips? No? Me either. You know as well as I do that drivers don't make executive level decisions. So why do so many customers act like we do? Some customers approach us with the attitude that we determine the fees on their order and then expect to be tipped on top of it. In fact, why is it that when we try to defend our position, it always seems to fall on deaf ears? It's very possible that this hasn't been on your radar quite like it's been on mine. So here are just a few examples of some of the things customers have said to me in recent months. And no, I didn't cherry pick those comments. That's the standard reaction I get from most customers. With that said, almost every customer that throws the fee argument at me is ultimately trying to get at something else. One of the most common things that I hear from customers is that they don't have to tip. And guess what? They're right. They don't have to. I've run this channel for 2 years now, and I've always been very hardline on my stance on tipping. If you want the service, you tip the person providing the service for you. However, if I'm being very honest with myself, I don't think I've reached a single customer and changed their mind. So in this video, we're going to try something a little different. Now, drivers, don't think that my stance on tipping has changed, because it hasn't, and until we're paid fairly, it won't. And customers, this video is not to berate you for your financial decisions, but rather to explain ours. After all, you never solve a problem that you don't understand. If you were to ask just about any content creator in this space, they would tell you that there's a very negative mentality about drivers from customers, just like drivers have a very negative mentality on customers who don't tip. See if we can find some common ground. Let's start with why customers feel the way they do, and then I'll respond from a driver's perspective. I want to direct your attention to this screenshot. Nowhere on that screen does it tell the customer that the driver is only going to get $2 in most cases for delivering that order. All they see are the ridiculous prices and marked up fees, and then they're being asked to tip on top of it, without knowing that the driver is also getting screwed. I can understand where some of the customer's frustration is coming from. Somehow a $10 menu item turns into $20 before a tip. Customers, I'm sure I speak for all drivers everywhere when I say that we know you're paying a lot in fees. But convenience does come at a cost, and your driver is damn sure not getting rich in the process. It doesn't matter if you use promo codes and pay almost nothing in delivery fees, or if you end up spending $15 in fees. Your driver is still likely only going to get $2 for delivering that order. It doesn't matter if the order is going 2 blocks or 10 miles. Still $2. Another common argument that I hear all the time is that we should get real or better jobs. Let's talk about that. Almost 70% of gig workers do this on the side, meaning the vast majority of us do have real jobs. We do this to help supplement our income. Matter of fact, drivers, let me know in the comments if this is your primary source of income or a side hustle. I'm a single parent. I have full custody of my son and have had since he's a baby. Let me ask you this. Would you rather me rely on the welfare system to get by, or work a gig that works around my schedule so I can make ends meet for myself? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Drivers aren't doing this because it's fun or because we get to listen to Bohemian Rhapsody on repeat. We're doing it to help bridge the gap in our income. So, when somebody speaks down to us telling us to get real jobs, the reality is, in many cases, we're putting in far more hours than your average person is. And by the way, I'm not just pulling these numbers out of thin air. They came from a study conducted by Pew Research. If you'd like to learn more, I'll put a link in the description. A few moments ago, I talked about how the order summary screen on the DoorDash app doesn't tell you as a customer how much your driver's getting paid. There's a few other things that screen conveniently leaves out also. The car that your driver pulled up in is not owned by DoorDash. That's your driver's personal vehicle. That means that we have to cover all of the expenses associated with driving it. $2 an order doesn't go very far when we have to fill up on gas every 3 days, replace our tires once a year, and spend thousands on repairs annually. Not to mention, pay tax on the money. But customers, I also understand that paying $27 to get your pad thai delivered is also unacceptable. I get it. Hell, I'm tired of being asked to tip almost everywhere I go also. It seems like the people who are selling us a product or providing a service that we got 5 years ago all would like to see a tip now. It's gotten out of hand. But let me explain the difference between somebody at a store and your driver asking you for a tip. When you walk into a store and swipe your card for a product or service, chances are you're interacting with an employee of that store or company. An employee who's getting paid something per hour, generally at least the federal minimum wage. On top of that, they're not out any of their own money to perform their job duties. The servers at your favorite restaurant aren't bringing in the ingredients from their house. They're being paid for and provided by the restaurant. Your driver, on the other hand, is out of pocket for everything related to delivering your order. We don't have company vehicles. We don't have a company credit card to fill up on gas. That always comes out of our own pockets. And we're also not getting paid an hourly rate. We don't get any kind of a stipend for when our car needs repairs, and when that does happen, we're out of the game and not earning a cent. These are all things that gig apps will never tell you. They're no more transparent with you than they are with us. Matter of fact, I want to double down on that. We've talked a lot about the fees you're paying in this video, and believe it or not, your driver wants you to know where those fees are going, or not going. In my opinion, most of the gig apps, but especially DoorDash, want their customers to assume and their drivers to guess. They hate transparency. Let me give you 2 examples. You as a customer have to guess where your exorbitant fees are going. It's not like a cell phone bill where it breaks it down line by line and you know exactly where every cent is going. However, please don't make the mistake of assuming that your driver is getting a better deal than you, because we have to guess too. Here's the second example. Take a look at this screenshot. This is a DoorDash offer I received where the customer didn't tip. Take a look towards the bottom of that. Note, the total may be higher. The key word there is may. Now, in this specific case, there is no chance that that order was going to pay more. However, in many cases, DoorDash does hide money from the drivers on the offer screen, and many drivers take the offers hoping that it'll pay them more in the end. To simplify this, even if that offer is going to pay the driver $10, in a lot of cases, it's only going to show the driver $6, and we have to hope it's actually worth our time. I drive in an area that's both urban and not so urban. There's plenty of customers who live out in the sticks who do tip well for the service that we're providing. But the problem is, apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats don't show the driver the final payout, so your driver is unwilling to go 10 miles for the $6 displayed on the offer screen. Transparency is something that I've talked a lot about over the last couple of years. Without it, both customers and drivers can't make informed financial decisions. Rather, we're left to guess. Recently, one state tried to change that. Let me tell you how that played out. There was a driver named Stephanie Vigil who was elected to the Colorado House of Representatives. Now, regardless of your political affiliation, this was a huge win for drivers everywhere. Let me explain why. For the first time ever, we had somebody writing laws who actually knew the issues that drivers face. Stephanie wrote a bill that would have given both drivers and customers total transparency. Customers would have known exactly where their fees were going, and drivers would know exactly how much we were going to get paid. This bill would not have increased any fees. It was just about transparency. Matter of fact, this is a good time to bring the companies into the conversation. Both DoorDash and Uber lobbied extensively to kill that bill, and unfortunately, they were ultimately successful. Let me ask you this. Why do you think that they don't want customers knowing where their fees are going, or the drivers to know exactly how much they're going to earn? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. DoorDash and Uber, but especially DoorDash, have a very long history of taking advantage of both drivers and customers. Matter of fact, several years back, DoorDash settled a multi-million-dollar lawsuit after they were caught stealing driver tips. They were doing this to help offset their contribution for each order. Drivers call this contribution base pay. Here's the thing with base pay though. Unlike a traditional job where salaries always seem to increase over time, base pay always seems to decrease. Matter of fact, about every 6 months to a year, DoorDash picks a handful of markets to knock the base pay down by anywhere from 25 to 75 cents per order. To drive that home, our pay never goes up. It always goes down. I want to run a frustrating scenario past you. You know when you order DoorDash or Uber Eats and your driver has another order in the car and yours is delivered second? Guess what? Your driver is being paid less for the privilege of delivering 2 orders. Meanwhile, you as a customer are paying the exact same amount in fees, and the companies are pocketing the difference. Let's be honest, This all too common scenario isn't fair to you or to us. Hopefully at this point, you're starting to see that drivers are not trying to be jerks when we decline your order. We're just trying to pay our bills. And drivers, hopefully at this point, you understand why some customers are hesitant to tip. This back and forth game that we keep playing where we're pointing fingers at each other is getting old. It's not accomplishing anything. This is Tony Xu. He's the CEO of DoorDash, and in 2020, he was compensated $414 million, making him the second highest paid executive in the United States. Now, don't get me wrong. People who are in his position have generally worked their ass off to be there and generally deserve it. However, in my opinion, Tony and his company are huge fans of predatory tactics. Tony was being compensated nearly $500 million. Meanwhile, DoorDash was charging the restaurants upwards of 30%, raising customer fees and slashing driver pay. Repeatedly. On top of all of that, DoorDash seems to be a huge fan of doublespeak. They write something down and we interpret it one way, but it was written so carefully that it actually means something entirely different. For example, in many DoorDash markets, the driver has the opportunity to earn per hour. Now, if you come from a traditional W-2 employment background, you might assume that we're making, say, $15 an hour, but that's not how it works in Tony world. Instead of calling it an hourly rate, they need to call it earn per minute, but only when you have a freaking order in the car. Basically, you're only getting paid that hourly rate from the moment you accept an order till the moment you get it dropped off. We're not getting paid when we're waiting around to accept an order or after we're done dropping one off. Basically, that $15 is almost certainly going to take much longer than an hour to earn. Think about it like this. At a traditional job, let's say you make $15 an hour, but you're only getting paid if you're talking to somebody on the phone or writing an email. You're not getting paid for idle time. They tried to present this option to drivers as a way to earn more money. However, in all actuality, it was just a way to get bad orders delivered cheaper. When a driver is misguided enough to choose to earn per hour, we're given almost no financial information on the offer screen, and we can only decline one order per hour. This is only one example out of the dozens I can give. If there's one thing that you take away from the video, I hope it's this. Your drivers are not trying to be jerks to you when we decline your order. We're just trying to coexist with you in an imperfect system and make ends meet in the process. When we decline your order, it's really not personal. Should the companies be paying the drivers more? Hell yes, but they never have, and they likely never will. At the end of the day, apps like DoorDash and Uber Eats are a convenience service, and if your driver isn't careful, we can actually lose money if we accept the wrong orders. Please consider this the next time you get to the checkout screen and you're asked to tip your driver. If you haven't done so yet, please do consider pressing the like button and subscribing to my channel. My name is Zach. Take care.